I could not be more excited about today's episode because we're talking about one of my favorite topics of all time. But I want to start with a question, but I also want you to stop and think, how does this benefit you, what you're going to learn today? But then how can you bring others into this conversation that you want to serve and you want to help and you want to shed light on the truth? So I want you to be thinking about yourself, your family members, and your friends as you listen to this topic today. The question that I start out with on this topic is, how to be the richest person in the room. What would it look like if you could go into a party, into a setting, and know that what you have inside of you makes you and qualifies you as the most important person in the room? How do you get there? Well, one of the things that I get so excited about is a certain passage of scripture that we're going to talk about today that really for me was the burning bush, the inflection point, that burning bush disruption that came into my life via the master's program process. And maybe that's going to be for you today as well. But it's something that you experienced in session 8. If you haven't got to session 8 yet, you're going to experience it. And it's this idea of what it means to have desire, what it means to have passion, what purpose looks like, your unique abilities, your traits, but ultimately how to live out your calling. That is all on the basis of what you believe your life is built on. And that's what I'm really going to talk about today. The launching pad, the foundation, the brick, the mortar, the catalyst, the hardening of your cement. Okay, so that's what we're really going to do, is get our mind right and keep our game tight today. But think about this for a minute. What would prompt a guy, man or woman, to come into the master's program and say, you know what? I'm going to get my life not just balanced, I'm going to get it mastered. Why would a person get their life mastered when it comes to their mind, their body, their soul, their spirit, their finances, their family, their relationships, their talents, their unique abilities? Watch this. Think about this for a second for yourself. There's this guy, a couple guys that I've been coaching in my practice that come into my office in space, and I will ask them this question: what do you want? Why do you want it? And then we play this game of this big question. If I put $500 million in your bank, just put it there, that doesn't buy you purpose. So then we really got to stop and think about it for a minute. Why would somebody want to get their life balanced? Why would somebody want to get their life in order? What do they plan to do with it once it's in order? Well, we know what's to come, and that is their life mission. But most can't even tell you what their life mission is. Nobody can tell you what their purpose is. What's my true north? What's the true aim at the end of my life? As I look back, I go, I finished the work that you gave me to do. So I'm going to give you this quick bit of scripture, and then we're going to dive down. Now, this might take a little bit longer than we normally do on a weekly basis, but trust me right now, it's so worth it. And there's an invitation at the very end of this that you're going to want to listen up to. Now, in Luke 12, we've heard this so many times, but watch how this applies with what we're going to be going over today. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." And he said this, "Man, who appointed me a judge or an arbiter between you?" Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guards against all kinds of greed. A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." And he told them this parable. The ground of a certain man produced a good crop. He thought to himself, what shall I do then? I have no place to store up my crops. And then he said, this is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and I'll build bigger ones. And there I will store up the grains and all my goods. And I'll say to myself, you've got plenty of good things laid up for many, many years. His business had a great abundance. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. Then God said to him, you fool, listen, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who's going to get what all of you've prepared for yourself? This is how it will be with anyone who stores up things for himself, but is not rich towards God. Interesting. Jesus then says this, which you have heard, do not worry about your life, what you're going to eat or what you're going to wear. Life is more about food and clothes, and consider the ravens. They don't sow or reap, and they don't have a storeroom or a barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more precious are you than they? You of little faith. And why do you worry about the rest? Consider how the lilies grow. The lilies don't labor or spin. And yet I tell you, not even Solomon, all of his great splendor, was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and gone tomorrow, is thrown into the fire, how much more will he clothe you, O of you of little faith? And do not set your heart on what you will eat or drink. Do not worry about it, for the pagans run after such things, and your Father already knows that you need them. But, he said, seek his kingdom, and these things will be given to you as well. So, this is what he says. Do not be afraid, little flock, for your Father has been pleased to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give to the poor. Provide purses for yourselves that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will not be exhausted, where no thief comes in, nor moth destroys. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also. So I think about this all the time, and I think it's profound. Listen to this really quick. When you first come to faith, you have academic faith. For some, it will translate to their heart. And for some that have been transformed in their heart, it will transform their pocketbook, their time, their talent, their relationships. And it starts to go into all areas of life. Stay with me now, because we're talking about how to be the richest person in the room. And watch this. This is going to be transformational thinking for you today. And here it is. There are multiple gospels which you've heard us talk about. Most hear just the gospel of salvation. Most hear the gospel of the kingdom. Those two. I would even for play on words, think of what happens before salvation. It's basically the gospel of self. We're living self-consumed, selfish ambition and selfish drive. We're all about us. We're about ourselves. We come to salvation by grace, which is the free gift. Fantastic. Most believers have no idea what to do once saved. That their life will be measured is the gospel of the kingdom, and what we do with our time and our talent and our treasure. We will be laying up for ourselves treasures in heaven where we need it most. That's what we teach in the Master's Program, Session 6 and 7. Well, the interesting part about that is there is another gospel, I believe, that is right sandwiched in between it, between salvation and the kingdom, and that says this. Well, I came in, got things a little bit more organized, and now I'm just going to do everything I can to have the gospel of sin management that says I'm going to keep myself out of trouble. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm going to keep myself out of trouble. Well, the interesting part about that is sin management can be a full-time job. Most folks never graduate from sin management because they have nothing to graduate to. Holiness. Well, what does holiness look like? Not only what does holiness look like, really, what it looks like for me, the gospel of the kingdom says, God designed you, a one-of-a-kind, unique masterpiece, that a purpose and a passion and your unique abilities aligned with God's desires is going to be a nuclear bomb that goes off for good, of bringing other folks to him. If you really do love me, he says in John 15, you're going to join me in my work. You're going to do what I say. You're going to feed my sheep. So when we talk about the gospel of yourself, the gospel of salvation, the gospel of sin management, the gospel of the kingdom says, what is the gospel of the kingdom? That we can partake in our Father's blessing and not just consume it for ourselves. Watch. Let's move a little bit forward. Man's pursuits of recreating Eden can run him into financial ruin and reckless pursuits rooted in selfish ambition. Until a man discovers the purpose of why he's been placed on this earth, he will continue to go on hunting trips that yield fast food results. Those are my own words. Why? Because I live them. Man, I was a person of faith. Yes, I got things more balanced. Yes, I got things more refined. But I put my dreams on hold. I put my passions on hold, because I thought at first it was, I just decline everything. But the Lord's like, we're doing this in concert and we're doing this together. We're in partnership together. I've wired you to use creativity to bring others to you in a way that nobody else, to me, him saying that, use your creativity to bring other people towards me so that your unique ability can glorify me. And people will be able to see that. Why? That's why you would want to get a life balance. That's why you would want to get life mastered, so that you can be freed up. So watch this. I have stories of guys that I've coached on how they can't tell me what they want and why they want it. They feel selfish in their ambitions of the dreams and hopes of what they need to do. The Master's Program, I'll never forget when Bob just said this, Noah, it's process. Don't stop what you're doing. Most likely, God's going to want to use what you're currently doing, just aiming at the right target. Sound a little bit familiar of what happened with Paul? Took all that ambition and that zeal and just shifted it when he was 50 years old towards that which was eternal. Same guy, just transformed in terms of the target that he was aiming at. So here's this deal. Typically, guys, men and women come into the master's program, typically they want to get a life free of chaos, overworking, mastering family, mastering finances, and living a balanced life. But we first have to say, why? Great, you're going to help me do that. I'm going to give you everything that you've ever wanted, a balanced life. But for why? Why have you been freed up? Why have you come down to the 20% that produces the 80%? Why are you working less, making more, doing what God's called you to do? The last part is to build his kingdom. Watch this. Then what? What's next for you now that you've got everything that you've ever wanted? Are you telling me that your life's mission has been to get life balanced? The feeling of a balance becomes second nature, right? Now you're doing the disciplines and they're fading into the background of your cognitive mental load each day. You have finally found the freedoms that you've wanted. The question is, are you now going to squander this newfound freedom and space, or are you going to leverage it to invest it? So here's what it looks like. That lifestyle of either sin management or just keeping the balance right has a shelf life, okay? You're going to lose yourself in these processes. Bob has done a wonderful job of articulating this and framing this for me, which really made me understand what expectations should look like. Here's more layers of how you can be the most richest person in the room, and it's this. I came in, built a life as a producer. I then started consuming everything that I produced, so I consumed, and then I was hoping, wasn't even on my radar, that I would ever be an investor. I was here to be a parasite on this earth, to get everything that I needed when I walked into a room, everything I needed when I met with a client, everything that I needed to be able to get myself to the next thing. Well, that's survival mode from old wounds when I was a kid and growing my business. But after a while, God saved me. After a while, God gave me the master's program in surrogate fathers that brought me into this beautiful way to restructure life and to have life to the full. But I couldn't describe to you what life to the full was. So going from producer to graduating to consumer, to wondering how can I break the mold in my family of origin to say, I'm going to become an investor, not just in my business, but my family in all facets and areas of life. That's why I want to get balanced life. That's why I want to get freed up. So here's the three and what they look like. The producer, productive Christian. Most guys, women included, chase dreams out of proving to themselves that they can do something or learn something new. That was me. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. I wanted to learn something new. This is still selfish ambition rooted in our self-outcomes. This person is still a believer, and this one is asking God to bless their plans, but they are selfish at the root. Well, the next one, the consumer Christian. Boy, I was the best. This was third soil, that third soil hamster wheel. This is a person that is looking to take their dreams and mission and become self-sustaining in the process and outcomes. It's all about you. It's all about me, just getting what we need to sustain as long as we possibly can. This is the believer that is not only asking God to bless their plans, but also consumes the blessing for their own personal gain. What do we call that? A glutton of the blessing. We're still consumers as believers. We have not yet become a fragrant offering. We have not yet become fertile soil. We have not yet become the miracle grow, the salt to the earth. We are not going out. We're living for within. Could we graduate to the investor Christian? This is the believer that has graduated to a life of pursuing holiness, not consumption. Life has become a new life of taking that which has been received. You're obsessed with getting the freedoms and the hope of Christ and the kingdom into as many people's hearts as possible. You are so beyond blown away about what you've received that now you want to go get the cure for cancer of the soul into everybody that you possibly can. You have the vaccine of the soul. And that is not only the love of Christ, but that you can partner with him. And you live from grace, not to get and to earn grace. That's a powerful, powerful, powerful passion. Your life grows I'm trying, your life grows from being, I'm trying to board a cruise ship and to find as much comfort as possible to, I'm now in the rescue boat phase of life. I'm not here to get, I'm here to give. God places his desires in your hearts, and your desires are to see his desires lived out through your unique abilities. Session 8 is all about the alignment of passion and purpose and unique potential of your personal character. Do you feel passionate as a believer? Do you feel on fire as you did when you came to faith? But as a result of coming to all of that and the people that are in your life, are you growing up and becoming more and more every single day than you were 10 years ago, 5 years ago? As we look at our benchmarks in TMP, we're making those measurements of looking back 90 days. We're looking back 3 years in that horizon, looking forward to 3 years. So here's the thing. Here are some of the telltale signs of life to the full, of living your desires, your dreams, and your passions fueled with his desires in your hearts. And that's the driving force of that passion. 1, you come alive in the activity. 2, you would do it for free. 3, you're willing to bet everything that you have on it. You're willing to go all in because you realize the limited amount of time that you've got. 4, you're terrified of the dream because it's so darn big. Number 5, you can't afford the dream. Therefore, it will require faith and miracles in order for it to come to fruition. So don't believe the lies that it's too late and that you've passed your prime and you've lost your opportunity. It's not true. The richest person in the room is the one that understands the producer to consumer to investor rule. That where your treasure is, your heart will follow. That Jesus was basically telling them, do you really truly want to be rich? You can have life to the full here and there if you get on the right economy of understanding his kingdom economy. We got to grow up. So here's what next steps do look like. Who do you know that is suffering from the following symptoms? Listen to me very clearly. 1, oversubscribe to their work and their responsibilities. 2, they have no clarity of their life mission and their calling. 3, they need help with structure and disciplines to grow their faith. 4, has had a turbulent life in overcoming obstacles, constantly overcoming. I get that. I was there. 5, feels like they are out of time. They're stressed because the pressure of being out of time and they can't figure out a system. 6, they feel alone in the pursuits of their faith. They don't have anybody that's running as high and as intense as they are. I've got 2 opportunities for you as you listen to this and as we wrap up. I'm holding a couple special workshops that are coming up where I'm going to be walking folks through this in detail. You could have a friend, might even be you, that needs a tune-up, needs to get your mind right and your game tight. And in order to do that, we can make sure that from now, this day forward, you can make sure that you are an investor, that you're not just trying again. Listen to me very clearly. Therapy is about the past. Coaching is about the future. If you don't have a coach, you're following yourself and you're dead. If you don't have a coach and you're not reporting what you're measuring, your success will not go up. You'll try to have a life that is incremental and incremental growth, little by little, with no reporting. If you want to see an enterprise really, truly scale and to really become successful, it requires not only measuring, but then taking the measurements and reporting them to somebody. Maybe you need, and maybe your friends need, a community of support, a community of like-minded individuals that aren't just going to settle for the status quo, but are going to sign up for more. And if you want more, you're in the right space for more. These are the very few men and women in America that are going to take Jesus up on his offer to join him in his business and to start to take his kingdom stock and making it available to everybody to be invited into that opportunity of life mastery to get filled up so that you can live your life mission to populate heaven while using your unique abilities, all while in the process. Now, here's the best part. What if I finally get you everything that you've ever wanted? A balanced, thriving marriage, thriving finances, living in the sweet spot of your career. You've got your mind. You're taking care of learning. You're in the sweet spot of your body coming into physical shape. You're getting better as you get older. You're getting smarter. You're gaining in your influence. What if you got all that? The question is, who's going to be the richest person in the room? The one that keeps guessing, or the person that actually has the cure for all of it? To not only show people how to get freedom, but to how to grow their freedom and to give it to others. That's the investor. Are you ready to grow up? Do you want more? Do you know you were made for more? You're in the right place. There's a couple of links down below. Click them, and you're going to see opportunities where you and a friend can join me in those opportunities to be able to continue the conversation. Leave me a comment down below. I know we took a little bit longer today, but is it worth it? Send this on to a friend. I hope you have an incredible day.